I'm standing in the boardroom at West & Associates, my father's company, watching him pace in front of 15 executives. My heart pounds as he gestures toward the quarterly reports, then suddenly stops and points directly at me. "You see this?" he says, voice dripping with contempt. "My son thinks he deserves credit for these numbers. But let me tell you something, without me, without this company, he'd be absolutely nothing." The room goes silent. A few nervous laughs ripple through the group. I feel my face burning, my hands trembling at my sides. I've worked here for 12 years, building systems, securing clients, staying late while everyone else went home. And this is how he sees me. He continues, louder now. "You'd never make it without me, Marcus. Never." I stand frozen, wanting to defend myself but knowing it's useless. He's my father. He's always been untouchable. Then something inside me snaps. I grab my briefcase, walk toward the door and pause. Without looking back, I whisper just loud enough for him to hear, "Watch me." The door clicks shut behind me. My life just changed forever. I'm driving home in silence, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turn white. My phone buzzes with messages I don't want to read. I replay every moment of humiliation, every time he took credit for my work, every client I brought in that he claimed as his own, every late night I sacrificed while he played golf. I pull into my driveway and sit there, engine idling. That's when my phone rings. It's David, my colleague from the legal department. "Marcus, listen carefully," he says, voice low. "Your father filed paperwork this morning. He's removing you from all official positions. You're being fired next week." My stomach drops. I knew he was cruel, but this? Planning my termination before I even walked out? "He's been working on it for days," David continues. "I'm sorry, man. I thought you should know." I hang up, staring at my reflection in the rearview mirror. The man looking back at me is 57 years old, starting over from nothing. But I'm done being his victim. The next morning, I drive back to the office before anyone arrives. I find my father in his corner suite, sipping coffee like nothing happened. "We need to talk," I say, closing the door. He doesn't even look up. "There's nothing to talk about. You embarrassed yourself yesterday. Now deal with it." I take a deep breath. "I've given you 12 years. I built half the systems here. I brought in clients you couldn't even reach. Just tell me why you hate me so much." Finally, he looks at me. His expression is cold, almost amused. "You're too weak to survive outside these walls, Marcus. You've always been weak." Something breaks inside me. Not my spirit, my chains. "I resign," I say simply. "Effective immediately." His face flashes with surprise, then hardens. "You'll regret this." I turn to leave, and there's my stepmother Margaret in the doorway, arms folded, smirking. "You'll regret this," she echoes. I walk past her without a word. Let them think I'm beaten. They'll learn soon enough. I empty my small savings account, $43,000, everything I've managed to put aside. I find a cramped office space in an old building downtown. The paint is peeling, the carpet smells like mildew, but the rent is affordable. I sit alone in that empty room, staring at bare walls. I'm 57. Most people my age are planning retirement. I'm planning a comeback. My phone rings constantly. Old contacts, people I've known for years. But they're not calling to support me, they're calling to explain why they can't work with me. "Your father reached out," one says awkwardly. "He said you're unstable. I can't risk it." Another, "He warned us you might steal proprietary information." "I'm sorry, Marcus." I hang up, feeling the weight of his sabotage crushing me. He's not just content with firing me, he wants to destroy any chance I have of rebuilding. Then, late that night, I get an email from someone I don't recognize. "I heard what happened. I'd like to meet. Tomorrow, 8 a.m., Corner Cafe." Hope flickers. I arrive at Corner Cafe 15 minutes early, clutching a folder with my credentials. A woman in her 60s sits by the window, waving me over. "I'm Helen," she says, shaking my hand firmly. "I own a small distribution company. I've heard about your work. My father's probably told you I'm—" "I don't care what your father says," she interrupts. I care about results. I need someone who can streamline my logistics. Can you do it? I open my folder, hands shaking slightly, and show her my portfolio. By the end of our meeting, she's nodding. You're hired. It's not a huge contract, but it's a start. I leave that cafe feeling lighter than I have in years. It's not glamorous. It's not revenge. But it's hope. That evening, another email arrives. I'm an investor interested in ethical business leaders. Let's talk. I stare at the screen. Maybe this is the beginning of something bigger. Maybe I'm not alone after all. The investor's name is Richard Chin, a retired CEO who built his fortune in manufacturing. We meet in his modest home office, surrounded by books and old photographs. I've been watching the industry for a long time, he says. Your father's reputation isn't what he thinks it is. People know he's ruthless. Why would you help me? I ask carefully. Richard leans back. Because I believe in second chances. I was pushed out of my own company 30 years ago. I rebuilt from scratch. I know what it's like. He offers mentorship and a small investment, $50,000. Not enough to compete directly with my father, but enough to build something real. Here's my only condition, Richard says, eyes serious. Build a company your father can't touch. Not because it's bigger, but because it's better. I nod slowly. Better. Not bigger. Not meaner. Better. I can do that, I say. We shake hands, and for the first time in weeks, I feel like I'm not just surviving, I'm building something that matters. Over the next 6 months, I hire carefully. I don't want yes men. I want people who were overlooked, underestimated, pushed aside. People like me. We create a company called Unified Solutions. Our culture is simple: transparency, integrity, fairness. I pay people well. I listen to their ideas. I give credit where it's due. Slowly we grow. Small contracts turn into medium ones. Clients appreciate that we actually solve problems instead of just billing hours. Then the rumors start. Heard Marcus West is running some kind of scam, one potential client tells me over the phone. His father says the company's a fraud. Another meeting gets canceled last minute. The assistant whispers, sorry, but we've heard some concerning things. My father is spreading lies, poisoning every well before I can drink from it. Late one night, Richard calls. A major client just pulled out, didn't they? Yes, I admit. Go see them in person, he advises. Look them in the eye. Truth wins. I hang up, knowing he's right. Tomorrow I fight back, calmly, professionally, ethically. I show up unannounced at Sterling Industries, the client who canceled. The receptionist looks nervous. Mr. West, I don't think. 5 minutes, I say gently. That's all I'm asking. She reluctantly calls upstairs. 10 minutes later, I'm sitting across from their CFO, James Sterling. Look, he starts, your father warned us. My father is scared, I interrupt calmly. He's scared because I left his company and started something he can't control. I'm not here to trash him. I'm here to show you our work. I open my laptop and present case studies from Helen's company and 2 others. Real data. Real improvements. No fluff. James leans forward, studying the numbers. This is impressive. We solve problems, I say simply. That's all we do. 2 days later, James calls. We're signing the contract. Welcome aboard. When my father finds out, I imagine his face going pale. But let him worry for once. My father's lawyers send a cease and desist letter claiming I stole trade secrets. It's baseless. I built everything at Unified from scratch using publicly available methods. Richard connects me with a sharp attorney named Lisa Park. She reads the letter and laughs. This is intimidation, nothing more, she says. He's trying to scare you because he knows he can't compete. So we ignore it? For now. But Marcus, brace yourself. Something bigger is coming. Your father doesn't know how to lose gracefully. She's right. 2 weeks later, I hear through David that my father's board is divided. Half of them see me as a legitimate threat. The other half thinks he's overreacting. One board member, Thomas Brennan, reaches out privately. I can give you inside information he offers over coffee. Financial reports, strategic plans. You could crush him. I shake my head. I won't cheat. Thomas studies me for a long moment, then smiles. You're nothing like your father. That's exactly why you'll win. 3 days later, Thomas resigns from my father's board and joins mine. My father's company is unraveling from the inside. David sends me encrypted updates. Employees are leaving. Clients are complaining about missed deadlines. Financial reports show growing losses. But instead of fixing the problems, my father doubles down on attacking me. He slashes prices below cost to steal clients, an illegal predatory pricing tactic. I could report him, but I don't. I refuse to fight dirty. Instead, I call a company-wide meeting at Unified. Our competitor is panicking. I tell my team. They're cutting prices because they can't compete on quality. We're not going to match their desperation. We're going to focus on doing what we do best, delivering real results. My operations manager raises her hand. What if we lose clients? Then we lose clients, I say honestly. But we don't lose our integrity. The room is silent, then someone starts clapping. Soon everyone joins in. That night, Richard calls with a warning. Your father just took a massive loan from a predatory lender. He's about to make a fatal mistake. The loan my father took is from a firm called Apex Capital, notorious for crushing small businesses with impossible terms. According to David's information, my father didn't read the fine print. The interest compounds weekly. Early repayment penalties are brutal. He borrowed $5 million, thinking it would buy him time. Instead, it's a ticking bomb. My stepmother Margaret is making things worse. She's pushing him to crush me, to dump even more money into aggressive tactics. She doesn't care about the company, she cares about her pride. Meanwhile, clients keep switching to Unified. Not because I'm undercutting prices, but because we actually deliver. One of our new clients tells me privately, your father's team promised the moon and delivered nothing. You promised what you could do and you did it. David sends another update. Your father's dumping prices again. It's hemorrhaging cash. The board is terrified. I close my laptop, feeling no satisfaction. This isn't the victory I wanted. I wanted to prove I could succeed, not watch him self-destruct. Richard's words echo in my mind, build something better. I am. But it's hard to celebrate while my father's empire crumbles. Instead of engaging in price wars, I focus on what matters. Customer service, reliability, efficiency. We create a client portal where customers can track projects in real time. We respond to emails within an hour. We fix mistakes immediately. The difference is stark. My father's company runs on arrogance and fear. Mine runs on trust. Clients notice. One CO tells me, we used to dread meetings with West and Associates. With Unified, it's actually pleasant. Within 6 months, we've doubled our client base. My father's aggressive tactics backfire spectacularly. Companies that tried his discounted services return to us, willing to pay premium prices for actual quality. Late one evening, Richard stops by my office. Your father's loan comes due in 30 days, he says quietly. He can't pay it. Apex Capital is going to demand early repayment. What happens then? They'll seize assets. Liquidate the company. Unless someone steps in. He looks at me meaningfully. I realize what he's suggesting and my stomach twists. You think I should buy his company? I think, Richard says carefully, your father is about to make a fatal mistake. And you're the only one who can save what's worth saving. The fatal mistake happens exactly as Richard predicted. My father, desperate to cover mounting losses, signs a balloon payment agreement with Apex Capital, meaning the full loan amount is due in 60 days instead of being spread over years. He clearly thought he'd recover by then. He was wrong. David sends me the documentation. My father's company is bleeding money. 3 major clients left last month. 2 key executives resigned. The loan repayment is now impossible. I sit in my office late at night, staring at the numbers. West and Associates, the company that raised me, that I spent 12 years building, is collapsing. And my father still doesn't fully understand why. He thinks it's bad luck. He thinks the market shifted. He doesn't realize that cruelty, arrogance, and sabotage eventually catch up to you. Part of me wants to let it burn. Let him feel what it's like to lose everything. But another part, the part that remembers the employees who were kind to me, the junior staff who had nothing to do with his toxicity, that part can't watch innocent people suffer. Richard was right. Something bigger is coming. My father's trusted VP, Angela Morrison, calls me unexpectedly. We meet at a quiet diner far from both our offices. "I'm resigning," she says, sliding an envelope across the table. "And I wanted you to know why." Inside is a resignation letter and a stack of financial documents. "Your father's company has maybe 3 weeks before bankruptcy," she explains. Apex Capital is circling. The board knows. Your stepmother is trying to hide it from him. "Why are you telling me this?" Angela's eyes are tired. "Because you were always decent, Marcus. Even when your father treated you like garbage. I've watched him destroy good people for years. I can't do it anymore. What will you do now?" She hesitates. "I was hoping, maybe Unified Solutions is hiring?" I hire her the next day. Not for revenge. Not to hurt my father. But because Angela is talented, ethical, and deserves better. When my father finds out, he leaves a venomous voicemail. "You're a traitor and a thief." I delete it without listening to the whole thing. His words can't hurt me anymore. A private equity firm called Meridian Group reaches out. Their representative, Claire Davidson, gets straight to the point. West and Associates is quietly for sale. The board is desperate. "We're considering making an offer, but we heard you might be interested." I'm stunned. Why would you think I'm interested? Because you built half that company. Because it's your father's legacy, for better or worse. Because you could save it. I sit in silence for a moment. The idea of buying my father's company feels surreal, almost cruel. "What if I don't want it?" I ask. Claire leans forward. "Then Apex Capital liquidates everything. 200 employees lose their jobs. Your father loses everything. Is that what you want?" I think about all those people, the accountants, the project managers, the administrative staff who never hurt anyone. I need to think about it. That night, Richard asks me the defining question. "Do you want to save the company, or do you want to save the people he's hurting?" I realize they're not the same thing. And I know which one matters more. I decide to move forward with the acquisition. Not for revenge. Not for pride. But to protect the people who've spent years building something real inside a toxic environment. But there's a problem. Margaret, my stepmother, is blocking the sale. She's convinced another buyer, a liquidation firm that plans to strip the company for parts and sell everything. Why would she do that? I ask David over the phone. "Pride," he says simply. "She'd rather see it destroyed than let you have it." The employees find out. Panic spreads. People start updating their resumes, knowing liquidation means everyone loses their jobs. One afternoon, Angela storms into my office. The board just found out about Margaret's deal. They're furious. She hid it from them. What happens now? Emergency board meeting. Tomorrow. They're voting to remove her influence. The next day, the board strips Margaret of her advisory role. My father, weakened and confused, doesn't even fight it. He's finally realizing he's lost control. David texts me late that night. "Your father knows he's finished. He's asking to meet you." My hands tremble as I type back. "Tomorrow." His office. Noon. I walk into my father's office for the first time in 8 months. He looks smaller, somehow older. The arrogance is gone, replaced by hollow desperation. "Sit," he says quietly. I stay standing. "You wanted to talk." He runs a hand through his gray hair. "I know why you're here. Meridian told me you're making an offer." "I am." "Why?" His voice cracks slightly. "Why would you save me after everything I did?" I meet his eyes. "I'm not saving you. I'm saving the people you hurt." He flinches like I slapped him. I pull out a folder. "This is a fair offer. Market value, minus the debt. Your employees keep their jobs. You step down completely." He laughs bitterly. Fair. You think this is fair? It's more than you deserve. The words hang in the air. He stares at the papers, hands shaking. I can see him wrestling with reality. The company he built, the empire he thought was untouchable, now in the hands of the son he called weak. Finally, he whispers, "How did this happen?" "You happened," I say quietly. "This is what cruelty builds." My father tries to negotiate, to save some dignity, some control. But the numbers don't lie. I present financial documents showing the company is weeks from total collapse. Apex Capital will seize everything, I explain. Employees lose severance. Clients lose their contracts. You lose everything. My offer is the only one that keeps the company alive. He stares at the spreadsheets, his face pale. For the first time in my life, I see my father truly broken. Not angry, not dismissive, but defeated. "I built this company from nothing," he says, voice hollow. 32 years. "I know. And now you're taking it." "I'm buying it," I correct. "There's a difference." He looks up at me, eyes red. "What difference?" "I'm not destroying you. I'm saving what you couldn't." The silence stretches long. Finally, he picks up the pen, hand trembling. "Fine. Take it." He signs the papers, each signature a small death. When he's done, he pushes the folder across the desk. "You happy now?" he asks bitterly. "No," I say honestly. "I'm not." I leave him sitting there, alone in his corner office, surrounded by the empire he lost. The acquisition goes through smoothly. Within 2 weeks, Unified Solutions officially owns West and Associates. Employees flood my inbox with relief and gratitude. One email reads, "Thank you for saving our jobs. We were terrified." Another, "You're nothing like your father. Thank you." I hold a company-wide meeting, my first as the new owner. 200 faces stare at me, nervous, hopeful, uncertain. "I know many of you are scared," I begin. "I know my father created a culture of fear. That ends today. No more yelling. No more favoritism. No more taking credit for other people's work." The room is silent. If you work hard and treat people with respect, you have a future here. I promise you that. The applause starts slowly, then builds into something overwhelming. I see people crying with relief. It's the moment I realize this was never about revenge. It was about creating the workplace I always wished I had. Later that day, Angela pulls me aside. "Marcus, there's something you need to see." She hands me a file marked confidential. Inside are years of financial records showing systematic embezzlement by a board member named Gerald Hoffman. My stomach drops. "How much?" "Almost 2 million. Gerald Hoffman wasn't just stealing. He was manipulating my father, feeding him bad advice to cover his own tracks. The chaos, the desperate decisions, the loans, Gerald orchestrated it all while profiting from the collapse. Now he's panicking. Because I'm cleaning house, auditing everything, and his crimes are surfacing. 3 days after I take over, Gerald files a lawsuit claiming the acquisition was coercive and fraudulent. He's trying to invalidate the sale to protect himself. I meet with Lisa Park, my attorney. She reads the lawsuit and smiles coldly. He's desperate. This won't hold up. What do? We bury him in truth. We compile everything: emails, financial records, audit trails, witness statements. We show that every step of the acquisition was transparent, legal, and fair. The judge dismisses Gerald's lawsuit in less than a week. Then the authorities come for him. Within a month, he's under investigation for embezzlement and fraud. The board removes him immediately. Employees cheer when the announcement is made. The poison is finally gone. Late that night, my phone rings. It's my father. "I need to see you," my father says, voice barely above a whisper. We meet at a small diner, neutral ground. He looks broken, unshaven, exhausted, smaller than I've ever seen him. "I didn't know," he says. "Gerald, I didn't know he was stealing." "I know. But I should have seen it." He stares at his coffee. "I was so focused on hating you, on proving you were nothing without me, that I let everything fall apart." I say nothing. There's nothing I can say that won't sound cruel or triumphant. You were right, he continues, voice cracking. I was the weak one. I was the one who couldn't survive without you. Tears slide down his weathered face. I'm sorry, Marcus. I'm so sorry. I sit across from him, this man who tormented me for years, and I feel something unexpected, not satisfaction but sadness. I didn't do this for revenge, I say quietly. I did this because it was the right thing. He nods, wiping his eyes. What happens to me now? I take a breath. I'm offering you a consultant position. Advisory only, no decision-making power. If you want it. His eyes widen in shock. Why? Because everyone deserves dignity. Even you. My father accepts the consultant role. It's symbolic more than functional. A desk, a small salary, a chance to rebuild his identity beyond cruelty. The company, now officially merged under the Unified Solutions name, begins to thrive. We implement new systems, improve culture, invest in employee development. Revenue grows steadily. Clients tell me they've never seen such a transformation. It's like a completely different company, one says. I promote Angela to VP of Operations. I hire back 3 people my father fired unfairly. I create transparent pay scales so everyone knows they're being treated fairly. Employees stop fearing management. They start contributing ideas. Innovation happens. Problems get solved. My father watches from the sidelines, attending occasional meetings but mostly staying quiet. I see him watching me lead, and sometimes I catch something in his expression. Regret, maybe. Or respect. One afternoon, Margaret storms into the office. She's furious that my father accepted the consultant role, furious that I'm humiliating him. You should have let the company die, she shouts. You stole everything from him. Security escorts her out. My father doesn't defend her. He just sits there, silent, finally seeing her for what she is. Months pass. The company stabilizes, then grows. We land major contracts my father never could have secured because clients trust our integrity. I'm in my office late one night when my father knocks on the door. Can we talk? He asks. I nod, gesturing to the chair across from my desk, the same chair where he used to berate me. I've been thinking, he says slowly, about everything, about who I was, what I did to you. You don't have to. Yes, I do. He looks at me, eyes clear for the first time in years. I told you that you'd never make it without me. That you were weak. That you'd fail. I was wrong about everything, he says. You didn't just make it, you became everything I never could. Honest. Decent. Strong in ways I never understood. His voice breaks. I needed you, Marcus. I always needed you. I was just too proud to admit it. I feel tears stinging my eyes. This is the moment I waited for, the validation I craved. But now that it's here, it feels bittersweet. Thank you, I say quietly. That means more than you know. He nods, standing to leave. At the door he pauses. I'm proud of you, son. It's the first time he's ever said those words. And despite everything, they still matter. Margaret makes one final attempt to regain control, filing legal challenges and trying to turn remaining board members against me. But it's futile. The company's success speaks for itself. The board votes unanimously to remove her from all advisory positions. My father, in a surprising show of strength, supports the decision. She only ever cared about money and status, he tells me privately. I see that now. With Margaret's influence gone, the company truly transforms. We launch a new initiative called Second Chance Hiring, specifically recruiting people who've been overlooked or pushed out of other companies. It's wildly successful. These employees, grateful for the opportunity, become our most dedicated workers. Richard Shin visits the office and pulls me aside. You did it, Marcus. You built something better. We built it, I correct. I couldn't have done this alone. He smiles. That's exactly why it worked. We stand at the window, looking out at the bustling office floor below. People collaborating, laughing, thriving. Your father said you'd never make it without him, Richard says quietly. I nod. He was wrong. Today, I'm standing in front of the entire company for a special announcement. My father sits in the back row, watching quietly. 5 years ago, I walked out of a boardroom where I was told I'd never succeed. I was told I was weak, that I needed someone else to survive. The room is silent. But here's what I learned. Strength isn't about domination. It's about dignity. Success isn't about crushing others. It's about lifting them up. I pause, looking around at the faces of people who took a chance on this vision. Today, we're officially renaming this company. From now on, we're Second Chance Industries, because everyone deserves one. The applause is thunderous. People stand, cheering. I see employees wiping tears. My father stands too, clapping slowly. Our eyes meet across the room. He nods once, a gesture of surrender, respect, acceptance. After the announcement, a reporter approaches me. Mr. West, your father once said you'd never make it without him. How does it feel to prove him wrong? I glance back at my father, sitting alone, finally understanding what he lost. He was right about one thing, I say quietly. I didn't need him to show me exactly who I didn't want to become. I smile, adding, turns out he couldn't make it without me. The reporter grins, scribbling notes. I walk away, knowing the story is finally complete. Not with revenge, but with redemption. Not with bitterness, but with something better. I built a company my father couldn't touch, not because it's bigger, but because it's built on everything he wasn't. And that's the greatest victory of all.